Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment of our program brought to you by A.G. Hines Company. Whether you need building materials or tools for your next do-it-yourself project, start said project with a trip to A.G. Hines Company. They've been East Tennessee's leader for as long as anyone can remember. That's because they've been doing this for 100 years. If you're 102 years old, maybe you remember somebody else that did it better. Other than that, you haven't seen anything like that because they've been around 102 years, 4 generations. That is the definition of quality, folks. One company, one family running one company for a century. aghines.com to learn more. Get down and see the Hines family and all their good folks. Boy, it is a family down there, all their people. A.G. Hines Company. All right. Let's welcome in the next 2 members of our panel. Still one waiting in the wings, he's waiting to do his victory dance from last week, but we have Sterling Hinton right here, VFL, and Chuck Cavaleras. Let me get you to scoot back a little, okay. Chuck. I'm sorry, we should have done this beforehand. Yeah. It's a little pretty. There we go. Now I got a good shot of Sterling there. All right.
You have me on the edge of my seat.
That's it. All right. The question here, and I'll start with you guys. What did we learn yesterday? Sterling, what did we learn about Tennessee?
Man, we learned about Tennessee yesterday that we know how to win an ugly game. I'm tired of us playing pretty and losing. I'm tired of us not winning these ugly games. There's so much momentum that happens inside of a football game where it goes to this team and that team. Hey, remember, we started this game yesterday down 10 points, and we came back. The grit from that team that was displayed yesterday up in Pittsburgh by our Tennessee Volunteer football team is to be applauded. No, it wasn't the prettiest game we can play. Yes, we made mistakes, but guess what? The team that makes the fewest mistakes will win. I'm glad we did.
We've heard that before. Well, I mean, we're throwing around adjectives, right? I learned this Tennessee defense can be relentless. That's what I took away from this game, and it seemed like you were making plays from all 3 levels. Yeah. Let's don't forget about Aaron Beasley, guys. Yeah. He looked like a beast out there, man. He had a career-high 14 tackles. Absolutely. And then I wrote down 2 Trey Flowers. We can talk about the kicking game part, but I thought the turning point of the game was the end zone interception. Oh, yeah. Getting his feet down, making the play. If you go behind 17-0, that can be a totally different ball game. Yeah. But I mean, there's so many good things to take away, and like Pearl said, and I saw that online. Oh, Tennessee won ugly. Well, how many times did we hear this season the Vols are going to have to outscore people? Yes. Your offense is going to have to win the game. Well, by golly, yesterday the defense won it.
Awesome. All right. What did we learn, guys? Yeah.
Well, I learned you're pretty good scout of punting because I was sitting at the Ball State game, and you told me they're going to get a punt block. Mm-hmm. Did you see it? Well, I was admiring the hang time on that punt during Ball State. Never noticed that. So good call on that. They ended up getting one blocked. I'm going to be a little bit more negative. I think we learned that the offensive line has a long way to go. I didn't think that they looked in sync, may not be exactly it, but there were times when you saw some of the movement of the offensive line, it looked, to use a Vince Lombardi term, sticky. And it just didn't seem like the whole unit was in sync with itself. So to be a little bit of a negative Nelly, I'm going to go that the offensive line is maybe not where it needs to be.
Okay. Will, what'd you learn?
Pass rush. You got one. I mean, and so that was good. I think also.
It was still a good segment last week, though, with the VFL going at each other.
Yeah.
As the producer, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, listen, they have a pass rush. They found, that we'll talk about more later, a group of 4 that you didn't have to blitz with, that you could get to the quarterback with. So I think they found a lot of things there of giving guys confidence. You know, sometimes it just takes a guy getting a sack to get him off the boat and kind of get him not thinking about that the whole time. So I think they did a couple of things there yesterday. I do think you also learned, hey, our zone defense needs a little bit more work too. There are places that people are picking apart. You're going to see it again and again.
They hit you over the middle of the field.
They're going to hit you over the middle of the field. They're going to get your slant. They're going to get your linebacker looking at a running back, and they're going to throw right behind him in the hole.
Exactly.
So they've got some work to do. They've got to be able to do there to close some gaps if you're going to be able to win a lot of games.
Let me quickly throw out some other things. I want to get these things mentioned. We'll let you guys react to them. Talked to a VFL yesterday who felt Tennessee was more physical, a more physical team than perhaps what we saw last year. So kudos on that front. You thought the linebackers, for the most part, had a good day. Jeremy Banks had at least 3 tip passes. 2 of them were still caught somehow, but he was active. He was all over the place.
Beasley and him were very active. There were definitely parts in that game. They had really good games.
Learned that Chase McGrath, you can count on him. I mean, he hit the field goal at the end of the half, which turned out to be huge. And then the 51-yarder when you really couldn't get much going in the second half. Hit that in the fourth quarter.
You can't count on ABC to have the right green line for where field goal range is.
Yeah, that was odd at the end. It made it look
15?
like yeah.
He can make an extra point, and no more.
I thought also that one last thing, Tennessee has 3 wide receivers. And that's all they had yesterday. It was McCoy, Hyatt, who we talked all offseason about, well, he looks better. I'm like, okay, can he catch the ball? I wasn't worried about how he looked as a player. Can he catch the ball? 11 catches yesterday in a big game, tight spot. Very good.
Put that under what did we learn? Because
that's
a
what
good
this
one
is.
that
He ran some awesome routes to make those
But I
catches.
just wanted to reiterate.
Okay, you're underlining what did we learn. So anyway, Hyatt 11 catches, Cedric Tillman 9 catches, Brew McCoy 4 catches, including one where he had to come back for the ball, turned and fought for the first down.
Right.
I thought your receivers, you got it down to only 3. 3 guys caught passes in terms of the receivers, but those 3 really stood out and looked good.
And let's not forget the big play Jacob Ward made now. That's touchdown.
Well, hey, I asked, what did we learn?
Right.
You guys had all your opportunities.
One last thing,
just wanted to-
kind of like to Bob's point, one thing I've learned, I don't think we can continue with this Heupel thing of two wide receivers way outside the numbers. The offensive line, I think, is kind of on an island right there. I think you need to tighten up that formation some.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Does that mess with what your offense
It's not going to happen.
Here's what I think you did
Some.
learn a little bit.
It's not going to happen.
I think the other thing you did learn, I thought they paced their offensive play calling to help their defense rest at times.
Okay.
I thought they slowed it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Good deal. See, all I had to do was just put the straw in the drink and everybody starts jumping in. All right, that's what I want. Very good. When we come back, how big of a concern is the offensive line? Bob mentioned it. How big of a concern is the offensive line? We'll be joined by Jimmy Himes, Daniel Hood, Chuck. We're going to get a little gambling talk from you next as well. Come on back on the Sports Source.
Away from home? Watch the Sports Source live at WATE.com.